the Arizal writes that a person should try to daven and cry on Rosh Hashanah. Specifically in your Rosh Hashanah davenings, you're supposed to cry. And
Rebbe says this?
and the Lubavitcher Rebbe also says this. The Arizal says it, and all Hasidim try to do this. In fact, a trua is a lashon according to Unclus of bechi, of crying. But there's an aspect of Rosh Hashanah. There's an Indian to cry a little bit, to be brokenhearted. Before the joy of the Tkiyah comes the trua. There's an Indian to try to cry. It's a big thing. So I was once, about 15 years ago, reading Rav Shlomo Carlebach, and I read how Rav Shlomo recounted. Shlomo, of course, is a big chassid of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe, in his Shmona Esrei on Rosh Hashanah, used to cry for literally hours of tears dropping down his face. And Rav Shlomo said, must be the Lubavitcher Rebbe was crying for the whole Jewish people. Must have been davening for the whole Jewish people. So anyways, I read this, and I was very, very inspired. And I remember at the time I was a madrich at Reshit, and I said that this year I want to try my best to cry, to have some tears. The thing is, Baruch Hashem, I didn't have that much bad to cry about, but I had a lot of good in my life. So I had an idea, Erev Rosh Hashanah, I still do this, to write out all the things that happened to me over the course of my year that I could remember. I go through it kind of like chronologically, through Hanukkah, Purim, whatever, and I write it down. And then in my Shemona Esrei, I recount all the blessings I have in my life, and I write people that I want to daven for, and whatever. That's what I try to do at the end of my Shemona Esrei. So this is what I was doing, and Baruch Hashem, I was zocheh to feel something, to cry a little bit. And, everyone had long gone down to eat their Rosh Hashanah meal. And I'm in the base, davening, and even got to cry a little bit. Baruch Hashem, good. So I finished my Shemona Esrei, go to the bathroom, wipe myself off, go get, some food for the Rosh Hashanah Suda. And I see, it was like 10 minutes later, my friend Chesky raps. Now, Chesky at the time was a student at Reshit. Chesky says, yo, Keith. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, I got a question. He says, what's the deal with crying on Rosh Hashanah? Is that a thing? And I look at him I'm trying to see, do I can still see tears? He kind of was way after. And I'm like, that's a weird question for him to rant. Why are you asking that? He's like, I don't know, I just heard about it. I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So listen, right after the meal, let's go up to the base. And me and you, we're going to learn what Rosh Shlomo says about crying on Rosh Hashanah. That's what happened. So I said, wow, Eza Ashkacha Pratis, right? The one time I cried, and then he asked me about crying. Pretty cool. So I go up to the base, and I start learning. When you cry, your tears don't go down. They go up to Shemayim. All these beautiful ideas about crying. Okay. So as I'm learning with Chesky, there's another guy at the corner of the base, Henry Bernstein. And Henry comes up to me at the end of my learning with Chesky and says, yo, Keith. I'm like, what's up? He says, I got a question. You know anything about davening on Rosh Hashanah? And I say, wow, that's actually my favorite topic. I've always loved learning about davening. It's my favorite topic to learn about, favorite topic to teach. I have a lot of books that I could recommend about, enhancing your Amidah for Rosh Hashanah, for Yom Kippur. So, wow, that's Shkacha Pratis number 2. So I say, let's go down to the base, so they have a library there with a lot of books. Okay, so I go and I look through all the books. This type of book on, if you go into my house, you see I have 15 books on tefillah and all these books. But I know my buddy Henry, and he likes stories. He's a story type of guy. So I saw this new book, which I'd never opened before. It's called Touched by a Story by Rabbi Yechiel Spiro. Oh, yeah. So anyway, I open up the book and just randomly. And this is the story that I turn to. It's quite a famous story, but now in the context of this whole thing, you'll understand the hashkacha. So what's the story that I turn to? Mom's the first story I turn to. It's Friday. It's a night at the Kotel, and there's a man sitting there crying his heart out at the Kotel. I think it's on Amlava on a Saturday night at the Kotel, crying. And this American comes up to him and says, "I see you're crying. What's wrong? I came here. I want to help." He's like, "No, nothing." He says, no, please, I want to help. He says, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not crying tears of sadness. I'm crying tears of joy. I just married off my 7th daughter. And I came to the Kotel to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu how thankful I am and to just express my gratitude to him. So I looked up to Shemaim and I'm like, did that just happen on the night that I happened to it came into my head to use gratitude as a way of connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he would send me so many different signs that he was watching over, that he was appreciating my tefillah. So anyways, to me, I took it as a lesson to always retell the story on Rosh Hashanah specifically, but really in the whole season, if you want to get into it on Rosh Hashanah, to make time to write out what you're grateful for, and every Amidah to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the blessings in our lives. And in that zechus, we'll use this new year not just to ask for stuff, but when we reflect back about all the blessings in our life, like in the Bikurim, like in Kitavo, then Hashem will say, wow, you're thanking me for all the blessings? I'm going to give you even more blessings. Ad B'li Dai.